Good morning, welcome to Walking Boxing and happy Good Friday. It is April the 18th, 2025 and a little busy morning this morning. A few people out and about, obviously public holiday and everything else. Everyone's in a good mood, it's nice and warm and of course lots of, actually today's not the day for Easter eggs, is it? That's Sunday. I'm sure there'll be a few devoured. I actually had some last night. My wife Tara made some, well, they're sort of Easter eggs. They were sort of Easter bunnies cut in half with her own homemade rocky road in the middle of it. Absolutely beautiful. Not really the sort of stuff you want to eat for your waistline, but still enjoyed it while I watched the footy last night. Speaking of the footy, you can see I've got the Blues hats on today, or the hat. We need a bit of luck, the Blues. We've got North Melbourne today at Marvel Stadium. North Melbourne have only won one game as well. They're struggling as well. So this is the game. We've beaten in the last 2 years on this day, and hopefully today will be a third. So we need a bit of luck. So I'll put the hat on just to show. We'll show the colours, fly the flag, whatever you might want to call it. And actually, this time last year, actually it wasn't. Easter was, I think, the end of March last year. I wasn't here for Easter. I was actually overseas for Tim Zoo's fight with Sebastian Fundora and Liam Wilson's fight with Oscar Valdez, and what a ripper sort of time away that was. We had the Liam Wilson fight in was it Arizona? Yeah, Phoenix, Arizona, and morning, and then the of course the Tim fight in Las Vegas. It was a really good time away, and love getting down south. Come here, man. Love getting down south. In the States, and then obviously getting over to Las Vegas, and a lot of Aussies over there. I remember actually there was a lot of Aussies at Liam Wilson's fight. I was surprised there were so many because Tim's fight was the night after, so you would think that everyone would be in Vegas for that, but a lot of people made the track down in cars. I think it was about a 4 or 5 hour drive from Vegas, but a lot of Aussies did it, a lot of Aussies in the crowd. And it was good to hear a few with Liam Wilson's fight with Oscar Valdez. Obviously, he didn't do him much good because he came up short, but what a night for Liam that was, even though he didn't win. Just to be on the big stage on such a big occasion was great. I think I spoke to, who was it? I think it might have been Jay McAllister. I think he said he drove from Vegas to Phoenix for the fight that night, so it was 4.5, 5 hours. After the fight, jumped in the car and drove back and got home at about 4 or 5 in the morning. And I also remember actually with Tim's fight, the outrage. I had people texting me left, right and centre. They were in Vegas for the weigh-in for Tim's fight and they wouldn't let anyone in, which is, I just think, I still can't believe in this day and age with them trying to, get people behind the fights. They don't let people into the weigh-ins, but a lot of disgruntled people. And I just think sometimes the promoters have got to read the room a little bit, and especially when you've got an international fighter there and you get a lot of people travel over, whether it's from Australia, whether it's from England, wherever it might be. Open up the weigh-ins, guys. It just adds to it. And, a lot of people spend a lot of money to go over, airfares, accommodation, obviously tickets, spend the money, everything else. Just open the room up and let them in, make provisions for it. To have, a couple of hundred Aussies locked out of the weigh-in, I think it was pretty ridiculous. But anyway, that was sort of my thoughts on that period last year, and it really did work out well. I know I'm sort of way off track. I haven't even got on track yet, have I, with what's going on in the last 24 hours, but what timing that it was to actually go to Liam's fight on the Friday night and then drive to Vegas and watch Tim on the Saturday night. It was awesome, and it was really good, even though it didn't go according to plan for Tim on the night against Fundora, to be at T-Mobile Arena with a hell of a lot of Aussies in attendance, and to see him on the big stage, it was great. Watched the fight with Brian Butler from East End Boxing in Melbourne, and Noonan Boy from Noonan Boy Promotions and Fight Hype and everything like that. So it was great, and got to hold the WBC belt that night as well. Before they presented it to Fundora. I thought we were going to present it to Tim Zoo, but it didn't end up that way, did it? But just an awesome week, and it's great when sort of fights sort of tie in with other fights. Was it the year before I went to, when was it? I went to Oklahoma, that's right, to see George Kambosos against Maxie Hughes. Went from Dallas to Oklahoma, across to, where was it? Memphis, to do all the Elvis stuff, and then over to Louisville, Kentucky to do the Muhammad Ali stuff, and then flew to Vegas from there to watch Spence and Crawford. It was an amazing time as well. So anyway, we might get a chance this year if George fights in New York in was it June 14th, with the Hall of Fame inductions the week before. So we'll see if fate sort of comes in and it gives me an excuse to go. We'll see. All right, but on this day, April 18th in 1964, Eddie Perkins defeated Jamaican Bunny Grant by decision, defending the WBC super lightweight title. That was in Kingston, Jamaica. In 1969, Cuba's Jose Napoles, great champion, knocked out American Curtis Cokes in 13 rounds in Inglewood, California. Who can forget that amazing venue out there? I actually went there, what was it, in 2016, when, I think it was when, it was a Chocolatito beat Quadros. That was at Inglewood. I think that was the fight. Yeah, it was. It was Chocolatito and Quadros at Inglewood Forum. I don't think it was the original one, actually, from memory, but it was still in Inglewood, California. Just an amazing crowd on the night. It was fantastic. So that was 1969. 1970, the great Mexican Ruben Olivares defeated Jesus Castillo by decision, also in Inglewood, California. That was for the WBC bantamweight title. Now, I'm pretty sure that probably would have been the bantamweight title that he won from our own Lionel Rose, I would say. 1987, another great Mexican, Julio Cesar Chavez, knocked out Brazil's Francisco de Cruz in the third round, and that was in defense of his WBC super featherweight title. Of course, he would then go up and beat Edwin Rosario for the WBA lightweight title. Roger Mayweather for the WBC, WBC super lightweight title, and then go up and win welterweight titles as well. So a great champion, Julio Cesar Chavez. And then in 1987, at the Royal Albert Hall in Kensington, Kensington, London, one of my favourite fighters, Lloyd Honeyghan, defeated American Maurice Blocker on points for the WBC welterweight title. And there was something else on that day. Where did I see it? Actually, that wasn't it. Not a fight, but it was a significant day in boxing history, because in 1913, yes, I know, 112 years ago, Ted Kid Lewis became the first boxer to wear a mouth guard in the ring. So 1913. So a little bit of history anyway. All right, on to today's stuff. And look, there's not a hell of a lot going on at the moment. I mean, maybe it's just that time of year. Lots of fights coming up. Some really good fights, of course. What is it? So we've got April 26th. I'll get to it in a minute. The Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn fight. And then we have the big weekend with Garcia and Haney headlining in New York. And I did see an interview with Garcia yesterday on the Fight Hype page on YouTube. Really good interview, or a quick one, but a good one. And also Oscar De La Hoya was on there as well. Looks pretty tuned in, does Ryan Garcia. Looked pretty good in the ring as well, so I'm sure he'll put on a good performance against Rolly Romero. But then on that weekend as well, the Canelo-William Skull fight in Saudi Arabia, and also the No Inoue fight with Cardenas in Las Vegas. So first of all, we'll get the first point of news today, well, opinion I suppose. The IBF are at it again. Well, not just the IBF, but the sanctioning bodies. Now get this one. This is in the heavyweights. Filip Hrgovic, who fought, was it last week or the week before, against Joe Joyce. Good win, good solid win. Now he's going to fight Frank Sanchez in an official IBF eliminator. Now, we've had a few other IBF eliminators getting around at the moment. Well, this is another one. Now, I don't know whether, I'm not sure which one this was for, actually. So the IBF for Dubois. So Joseph Parker and whoever he fights will be an official eliminator. This is an official eliminator. I know they're all sort of official eliminators in some way, but this will then put the winner of this next in line to fight Usyk. Now, first of all, I don't think either of these fighters really deserve a world title opportunity at this stage, but it just goes to show the circus that is these sanctioning bodies at the moment. Oh, this is the IBF was a Derek Chisora one. That's what I was thinking of. So Derek Chisora is the #1 challenger. I don't know how, but he is the #1 challenger. And I think there's provisions in case he retires that the winner of this fight will then be in line to fight Dubois. So it's going to be a matter of Derek Chisora or the winner of Hrgovic and Sanchez will be in the IBF's mind. Oh, geez, come on, Neil. The #1 IBF mandatory. It's just ridiculous to have two mandatories pretty much one after the other. But that is boxing for you at the moment, and especially the IBF. And look, I don't think we'll have much to worry about there because Alexander Usyk or Daniel Dubois, I don't think are fighting, especially Derek Chisora, you wouldn't have thought. I think it's all things point to Usyk and Dubois, and then I suppose it doesn't really matter after that because in my opinion, Usyk beats Dubois again, fights Joseph Parker, maybe one other fight, and then he's gone. So I don't think it's going to matter, but imagine what's going to happen. I spoke about this yesterday. When the scramble comes on for all the belts, all those that say they're in line, who think they're in line, who are in line, and it's just well, it's going to be good. We're going to have some good fights, but still, I just don't get this sport sometimes. And as much as we sometimes turn our nose up at a sport like UFC, geez, at least they've got the rankings and title fights and everything in line because we just cannot get it right. And again, what's it going to be like when TKO comes in? And look, maybe it's a good thing now that when you think about it with TKO, maybe there is a little bit of method to the madness where they'll actually stop all this stuff happening. And maybe what they plan to do, I'm just going way off track here, by the way, but there is no script to this, so I'm just going to talk as it comes up. But maybe it could be a good thing, and maybe what it might eliminate is that we don't have this situation here with mandatory fights or title eliminators and all this sort of stuff going on, and it's just the old-fashioned by elimination sort of thing, like that you sort of you fizzle out if you're not sort of getting your chance, if that makes sense. And only the good fighters or the recognised fighters get the opportunities, and the others just go by the wayside. Anyway, come on, man, let's go. All right, another fight that looks like it might be happening soon is the Shakur Stevenson Williams Apeta fight. Getting close, that one. Now it's interesting too and funny, I suppose. Shakur Stevenson having to walk back his comments on Twitter or X, whatever it is. And he's apologised to Turki LL Sheikh because he put out a little post or something a while ago saying he's been disrespected and not getting paid enough and all this sort of stuff. Well, he's walked that back. I'd say his team's probably said, now Shakur, what the hell are you doing, mate? This is the guy that runs boxing. This is the guy that's going to be pretty much responsible or in charge of your destiny as far as getting big paydays and big fights going forward. You do not disrespect the guy on X. So he's walked that back, and it looks like the Shakur Stevenson Williams Apeta fight is going to happen, and very, very soon. I think it's a really good fight. I really do. Oscar De La Hoya has said that he's really pushing for the fight. He wants the fight. Shakur Stevenson has said he wants the fight. So I think we are going to get it. That'll be for the WBC belt. Tough fight for Stevenson, I think. Shakur Stevenson, a really tough fight. If his hands don't hold up, Zapata is a big chance to win. It's a really 50-50 fight for me. So once it's signed, sealed and delivered, we can have a bit more look at that one, but at least we've got another big fight happening. One big fight that is happening on April 26th, as I mentioned before, is the Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. fight. And it's been really odd, some of the comments that have come from Chris Eubank Sr. Now, as we all know, he's estranged from his son and wants no part of the fight. He has made it known that he doesn't want the fight. In his opinion, it still won't happen. So we are just over a week out, and he says it still won't happen now. We probably think that's crazy, but look what happened in the last fight. It was cancelled at the 11th hour, wasn't it? Now, just on that last fight too, and I've never really been a fan of Chris Eubank Jr., but I've got to say, I think, apart from the egg incident, I think he's actually conducted himself pretty well in this fight. But also something that I don't think has been made overly public is that when the last show was cancelled, he did say he was going to pay the undercard fighters. And I sort of got forgotten about and not really mentioned again. Well, it's actually come out that he did, in fact, pay the undercard fighters. He paid them £50,000 out of his own pocket, which is about So what's that, about $100,000? Now, maybe it wouldn't have covered all of the purses, but geez, what a gesture from the man. And he actually challenged Connor Benn and Eddie Hearn to do the same, and doesn't like that's happened. But yeah, a lot of people thanking Chris Eubank and probably getting a new level of respect for Chris Eubank Jr., who, yeah, £50,000. So what did I say, $100,000? It's about two to one, I think it is, to pay those undercard fighters. So well done, Chris Eubank Jr. And I'm really actually hoping he gets a job done over Connor Benn. I have no time for him whatsoever. And I think that's probably one of the things that has offended Chris Senior so much, is his language. Doesn't like his language, does the English gentleman. It's a very, very, very fruity, he says. So, but look, as much as I admire Chris Senior as well and what he's saying, and I know he's lost a son, he's lost a brother to boxing as well, I'm a little bit concerned about, and maybe it's just him, but I must admit I have been a little concerned about the way he's speaking and what he's talking about, whether he's maybe got a few issues away from the ring. I don't know. Maybe that's just him. He's always been very, very, well, a little bit odd, I suppose, in the way he speaks. But yeah, just some of the things that he's talking about, it just seems a bit off. Now, maybe he is right. Maybe the fight doesn't happen. I don't know. Maybe his concerns are right, but he did say it was actually illegal for this fight to happen because of the weight difference. Well, the guys are both going to come in around the same weights. I know one's a 168-pound fighter, the other one's a 147-pound fighter, but they have agreed to 160. Is it 160? I think it is. So if both the guys agree to fight at 160, well, obviously there's no issues. But he did say it's illegal, so it shouldn't happen. And yeah, look, in a perfect world, he would be there with his son, and I think his son would really have liked that as well, for him to have a part of it. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. He does look in really good nick, though, Chris Eubank Senior, doesn't he? Though still looks like he could jump in there and fight. But as I said, I've just got a few concerns about his mental health at the moment, and let's hope that is the case, that he gets right. But anyway, for the fight itself, it's going to start at about 2:30 in the morning here in Australia, the fight card. So I'm not quite sure I'll be up early for the whole card. It's very English-centred, the undercard, and none of the fights on there really excite me. So I'm going to check out and just see when the actual main event starts. I'm assuming it's probably going to be, about 6 or 7 in the morning. That's okay. I'll be up to watch that, but certainly not for the undercard. But it's an enthralling fight. I think it's going to be a ripper. I think Connor Benn will win the fight, but I just think Chris Eubank's a little bit was he 35, 36? And I think to the fact that he hasn't had his dad there, I mean, I know Chris Senior hasn't been part of his team for a while, but you just get the impression when you hear him talk that the fact that his dad's not there and hasn't supported the fight has really sort of weighed on him a little bit. So I'm hoping that doesn't affect him mentally. But Connor Benn's had his dad Nigel there the whole way, really sort of get him along. And I just think his youth, his power, I know his size-wise he's going to be a lot smaller, but I think he'll just have enough to get over Chris Eubank Jr. I actually think he might stop Chris Eubank Jr. And also the fact that Chris Eubank Jr. is a super middleweight and apparently does it hard to make 168. Now he's got to make 160. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a little bit too much for him. I think it all spells out to a dominant win by Connor Benn. All right, now just a quick one. There was some words. Come here, ma'am. Boots Ennis. Now, he had that great win last weekend, didn't he? He has brought out he's been interviewed and given his top 10 welterweights of all time. Now, it's very modern day centric, but it was an interesting read. I'll just quickly read it out here. And there's been a lot of talk actually about Boots Ennis, about where he stands now, and I think it might even been Ryan Garcia, because he was asked about whether Boots Ennis should be in the top 10 pound for pound in the world at the moment. He said, well, why? He beat Eimantas Stanionis and actually got his name. I think he mentioned his name about 3 or 4 times. I got it wrong every time. I think he said Santionis once and Stanosis and Staniotis or something he said, but he was asked about Boots and he said, no, well, why should he be ranked in the top 10? He beat Eimantas Stanionis, who, let's just face it, isn't exactly Terence Crawford. And Oscar agreed and said, look, he's probably top 10 caliber, but you're not going to enter the top 10 with a win over Amanta Staniona. So I actually agree with that. And if you went sort of by that criteria, pretty much Ryan Garcia probably could almost challenge to be in the top 10, couldn't he, with that dominant win over Devon Haney a year ago. But these are the top 10 fighters that he had in Boots Ennis's list here. So at number 10, he had Oscar De La Hoya. Number 9, he had Felix Trinidad. Number 8, he had Terence Crawford. Number 7, he had Manny Pacquiao. Number 6, he had Roberto Duran. Number 5, he had Thomas Hearns. Number 4, Pernell Whitaker. 3, Sugar Ray Leonard. 2, Sugar Ray Robinson. 1, Floyd Mayweather Jr. So that, of course makes, not that Boots Ennis, his top 10 welterweight list of all time really matters that much, does it? It's just an opinion. But look, I never saw a lot of Sugar Ray Robinson footage of him fight, so it's hard to say. You would think that Sugar Ray Robinson would be number 1, Floyd Mayweather number 2, although it would be arguable. But the rest of the list I'm actually in agreement with. Really good list. I think he's done it pretty well, and so many good fighters or great fighters to pick from, wasn't there? But I don't mind that list. Not bad at all, Boots. But yeah, let's see what he can do. There is talk he's going to go to 154, of course, and I think that's a smart move. He didn't really look great health-wise. I know he got the job done in the ring, and that's all you got to do, but you got to wonder if he stays at 147 and comes up against a Ryan Garcia who'll be big and strong and ready to go, whether he'd be able to withstand Ryan Garcia's power. But at 154, big, strong, solid guy, not having to waste down the made to weight, and some really good fights there. De La Hoya did say he's still after the Virgil Ortiz fight. I think Boots would, it would probably be a good idea to go up and maybe have a couple of fights before taking on someone like Virgil Ortiz. But, geez, there's some ripper fights there, isn't there? Fundora and maybe Tim Tszyu down the track. Lots of good fights there for Boots Ennis. But anyway, time will tell. So, guys, I think that's going to do it for today. This Good Friday. Hope you have a good day with the family. Have a few chocolate eggs, all that sort of stuff. Big weekend for it. Hope your footy team wins over the weekend, and we'll catch you tomorrow.